Okay, let's continue on with adding and removing and moving your workers around your different rosters. Keep in mind that rosters are just lists of people, lists of workers in this case, and you can assign them to shifts, which means everyone on the roster will have access to those particular work opportunities. Of course, we can send it out to individual workers for specific PSWs that need to match a particular client. That's fine too. But lists allow us to manage groups of workers. So in this case, you can see that I have Site B listed in the source, which is the left side of the roster management window pane. And on the right side, I have a destination, which is the admin staff. And what this means is volunteers always move or are copied from the left side to the right side. So if I would like to put people on the Site B roster, what I need to do then is just swap. And what that allows me to do is that allows me to take someone like this particular worker and I can either copy or move them to the destination, in this case, Site B roster. If I were to copy them, they would remain on the original roster and they would also be on the new roster. If I were to move them, of course, they would be taken off of this roster and put on another roster. Now, keep in mind, this is moving between rosters. The only way that we can actually remove workers from our organization is to take them off every roster. Now, I'm not able to do that here, although if I were to remove someone from a roster, I would get a warning message if that were the only roster that they were on. So if I were to copy in this case, maybe we have a worker that is available to work in, for example, a new location in Site B, then I just click on copy. Now, if I'd like to pull workers from another roster, say my intake roster, notice how there are many more here. But keep in mind, everything moves left to right. So now my roster is admin staff, and if I'd like that to be my Site B roster, watch what happens. The latest roster always stays on the left. So if I want to move to the Site B roster, I just need to click swap again. Just notice that my PSW intake is on the left, and that allows me to move people to the destination roster, in this case, Site B. Say the scenario would be you've opened a new facility and you're looking at putting a particular group of of workers onto a list to be able to do shifts at that location. Now I can multi-select as well. And let's say I want to put these particular workers, and maybe the intake means that they've applied, they're now set up to work with our organization. And what I'm going to do is I'll take them off the intake form. In this case, I will move them, and so they'll disappear from one roster on the left and appear on the roster on the right. Now notice I have multi-selected. All you need to do is just click, and a second click will of course turn it off. They're surrounded by a red dotted line, and if I move them, you'll see, are you sure that you'd like to move them? And what I've done is I've taken them off one roster and I moved them on the other. Now, the last thing would be if we were to create a new roster. Let's go ahead and do that. And let's say we call this roster Site A. And this would be a new facility that we've set up. Let's go ahead and save that roster. Now, there's another case where if we were to notice it's on the left, let's move and just swap those back and forth. So my Site A, my new roster now is on the right side. And let's say I would like to invite several of these new workers to go ahead and join the roster for a new location. What I can do is I can either select all, notice how they're all surrounded by the red dotted line, and I could copy them all to this location. Now notice the color is of the text is black, and what that means is that those workers are considered in design mode, and it's the exact same when we go to shift editor. They don't know that they've been put on a roster yet, but what the opportunity is if we swap that back. So now we're going to perform a function on this roster, so I need to put it in the source area on the left side. And what I can do is I can go ahead and multi-select and invite those workers to the roster. And what that means is those workers receive an invitation from our organization that says, my name in this case would be Jim from Bedrock Health Services has invited you to join a roster. And that's a great way to alert your workers that they're going to join the organization through the Here2Work app on their phone. So I could go ahead and click invite, and I get a message that says, please confirm that you'd like to invite these people to the roster. And when I click OK, what happens is all of the text color in this case changes to gold, much like the shift editor. That means that they have been invited. And when they do accept, what we'll see is that they'll change to green color, which is accepted.